Should we go ahead and get started?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, welcome everybody. We are glad to have you here. Some of you I see are coming back from last week's session, and we are doing these sessions as a conversation for you to share information, to provide you with some support from some people who have tried different things and are more of an expert than others of us on them, and hopefully you can learn from them. Coming to you obviously from KWLA, and we hope that you will join KWLA. Membership will be free until the date.
And Laura, when will membership be free until?
Sorry, I'm on the phone with Ben. Hold on.
I think we said April 30th, but I wasn't sure if that got extended or not. Definitely till April 30th.
Yeah, I think it's.
We're looking at extending it. The executive committee's meeting today to work out the conference that's going to happen in September, the virtual conference. So there's a good chance we're going to extend that by a week or two, but we'll roll with April 30th for right now.
So we do hope you will join and go to the website and join KWLA. At this time, it's, you know, the best time. We need this support. So we have a lot planned for you today, and I'll just put it over to Jennifer, who will now reintroduce herself and tell us about the day.
Okay, so I'm Jennifer Kennedy. I teach preschool through 5th grade at Southern Elementary in Fayette County in Lexington. And I'm the communications director at KWA. So emails and Facebook and Twitter that's all me. And then moderating today with Jackie. So the plan is we're gonna quickly just go over the norms. We've got about 23 people in here right now. So we're gonna go over that. Then we're gonna have our Teacher of the Year from last year, Valle, who's gonna present on Flipgrid and how to use it with all 3 modes of communication. And then the plan is to break out into breakout rooms and then discuss kind of in smaller groups how we're addressing all 3 modes of communication in our classrooms, or if we have questions, resources we want to share in smaller groups. And then finally, we'll all come back together and maybe do some sharing out in the larger group of what we talked about in our smaller groups. So that is the plan. Jackie, do you want to go over the norms for today?
No, because I actually don't have them.
Okay, well, hold on, let me pull them up too. So basically, we just want to stay positive. You know, it's very easy to get negative, but we kind of wanted to create this as a space to encourage each other. When we are sharing out, just make sure, you know, there are lots of people on right now, so be cognizant of how long you're speaking. And just try to stay on topic, okay? Do you have anything to add to that, Jackie, or?
I don't think so.
Okay, and then we were supposed to have Elena, our current Teacher of the Year, both KWA and Skoltz. But she had to, I know, Jeff, thank you, Laura. She had to, she was called away for a Japan Bowl. So she'll be on Thursday talking about some things she's doing in her classroom to address all 3 modes. So, and a little bit about equity as well. So today we just have Catherine. All right. Hey. Catherine, are you going to talk about what the 3 modes actually are too? Or
yes, I'll be mentioning them as well.
Okay.
So am I ready to start?
You're ready. Take it away.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with everyone. And let's see if this goes right, hopefully. Okay, let's present. Come on. There we go. You should be able to see that, right? As it comes up. So I am Catherine Del Valle. I teach at Russell High School in Eastern Kentucky. And I'm going to be talking about Flipgrid, which is a great platform, especially for languages. We are able to use all three modes: interpretive, interpersonal, and presentational modes. And you can be as creative as you want with this, with you and your students. So it's just what you think about, how creative you can be. You can add this with other platforms. And I mean, it really is, it's open to whatever you think you can do. So just getting started, what is it? Well, like I mentioned, it's a user-friendly teaching tool that can be utilized across grade levels. So that's the good thing about it. Academic disciplines and learners. So it doesn't matter what level you're at, you can use this with all students, whether it's elementary or high school or even secondary. That should have been a little bigger because it was supposed to be really big, but it is free. It is free for all educators to use. So that's another good perk of Flipgrid. So all you have to, there it goes. All you need to do is go to the website and just sign up if you don't have an account yet. And it really is, it's a great tool to use in class. So just to look at the integrations that, and to give us some ideas, because then we're going to do some breakout rooms so that you guys can discuss with each other how you think you might use it in your classroom. I'm going to give you a couple of ideas. I'm going to show you, if I can get the Flipgrid up, I'm going to show you how I use them in my classroom. So the first one we have is, of course, interpretive. And so you can bring up, it allows you to link it to a YouTube video or any kind of a video that you might have. And you can pose a question to your students. So if it's a level 1, you might just ask them, do you like the video? Or what did you like about the video? You know, just simple thing, and they can videotape, they'll record themselves speaking to you in the language, in the target language, and there you go. You have your info, you have what you need for summative, formative, however you want to use it. The other thing is, if it's an upper level class, you can have them give their opinions. You can have them compare, contrast, all of those upper level content that we want to get. And all you've done is given them a video to watch in the target language, let's say, and pose the question. The next thing is, so go through, there it goes. Interpersonal. So the teacher I would videotape myself asking a question. The students can then respond to my question, and basically that's it. Now, this helps with a lot of the kids who are shy, who don't like to answer questions in class. So, you know, I know, you know, sometimes you go around and you want them to talk and with one another, but if they are answering your question, then you at least know it empowers them. It allows them to have their own voice without maybe the nervousness that they might have in a classroom. Also, you can set it so that students respond to each other. So you can click on it. Let's say you pose the question, your students respond, and let's say they want to respond to each other's answer. They can do that as well. So now you have even more of a conversation going on, and it's also asynchronously. So they don't all have to be online at the same time. And of course, the third one we have is presentational. You can have them tell stories. You can have them present information, whether it's, you know, introduce themselves for the first class, whether it's tell about, you know, once they've learned about, I don't know, their family, tell about their family, or, if, you know, they've learned about what they want to do in the future. Really, the sky is the limit with this. So I'm going to stop there. And I think we want to go to some breakout rooms, right? But I'm going to see if I can bring up my Flipgrid here. Kind of like doing 3 things at once. What happened to my Flipgrid? It did that same thing again, Jen. It went out on me.
I I can share mine.
Okay.
Let's see. Make sure I got the right thing pulled up.
It's like after I finish sharing, it just wants to go out on me for some reason.
Okay. Oh. Here we go. So here's an example of one that I'm doing right now is where do you live? So up here, I've actually posted a video of me giving a tour of my apartment. And then what's nice too is because this is presentational speaking, is I've given some differentiation. So they've got the sentence frames here. And then what they do, and I put this link on Class Dojo and in Google Classroom, is they press this big green button here to record a response. And then you can set it to where it automatically shows up, or you can, mine is moderated. So I want to make sure that they've actually done it in Spanish and aren't just goofing off. And then once I approve it, then it shows up here. And I think I can show some really quickly. And you can have multiple ones going on. If I can find mine. Not Flipgrid. Oh, of course. And please share in the chat too, ways, if you're using this, ideas of how you're using it. I've got mine by grade level. So here's one right here, 4th grade. What do you like to do? And you can see we did this while at school. So they get to take selfies at the end. But here, you know, if you were to flip through all of these, they would tell you what they like to do. And then you can give feedback. You can email them feedback. You can give them video feedback, all sorts of different things that you can do with Flipgrid. So how do I stop sharing my screen?
Go back to stop to the top where it says options.
Stop share. There we go. Okay. So that's just one tool that you can use to hit all 3 modes. You know, interpretive, that's where you're reading and listening. Presentational, where they're kind of preparing what they're going to say or write. And then interpersonal, which I think is sometimes the biggest challenge when we're not in the same room with each other. So actually posting a video and having people respond to it is kind of asynchronous interpersonal. So keep those 3 modes of communication in mind, because we're going to go to breakout rooms now. And I'm just going to assign these randomly. But we're just going to take some time to talk about what are you doing right now in your classrooms to hit all 3 of those modes. Which one is the easiest for you? Which ones are the most challenging? What questions do you have? What resources can you share? So just remember to stay positive, stay on topic, and let everyone have a chance to share. And let's see if, okay, I practiced breakout rooms before, so I'd be ready. Okay, 25 participants. Let's do, all right, we're gonna do, we're gonna do 6 rooms, so you'll have 4 people in each room, okay? Automatically, and you'll get a little thing that says accept. So please accept. All right. Looks like not join as IT. All right.
We're a single high school and there are 550 students, but depends on the year. 10 to 20% take foreign language. It's not required.
Right.
And yeah, so
That's
how about
not
you?
bad.
Where are you? Where
I'm in Fayette County, and
Fayette County. Okay.
and I was a French teacher for 24 years, and then an opening for district level came up for world languages. So I've been doing that for 4 years.
Oh,
And,
nice.
but I was in Anderson County, and it was a small county, 10,000, but our high school probably had around 1,100, and we were able to support kind of 2 full-time world language teachers, and Spanish usually would have that
stuff. This is something that I've also done with my students. You can ignore this part, but I have a lot of surveys as well that I ask them like all the time, like, how was this week for you? Was this week hard? Did you get the Flipgrid in? Why did you not? Things like that. And I find out a lot of personal things like, oh, I had to work an extra shift, or my parents XYZ. So that's another helpful thing to use. But getting back to what we're talking about. So
Flipgrid, yeah.
Flipgrid. Ours offers an extension. I know that the example that we just saw was through Microsoft, and I think that this is like routed through Canvas, like this system. So you have something that's called a grid. And if you guys are familiar at all, it's sort of like they've labeled grid as being a discussion forum or a posting forum. They call it a grid. And the idea, it's actually really cute, and they like it, is you create a topic, and I can actually create one with you guys and show it to you. You put a little detail thing here about what you expect, etc. And then they go through and create their own responses to that. And then they'll respond to each other. So for example, mine are like 10 points. They get like 2 points for making a post, 2 points for having it all in German, 2 points for responding one person, 2 points for the next person, and then I can't remember what I did for the last. But mine are like 10 points an assignment, and they have 1 big Flipgrid post a week. You could tailor this however you would like it, but you can see where all of the students have responded. So why not make one so you guys know how to do that? So what I would do, so each big sort of umbrella of a class is called a grid as well. It's a little confusing. So this is my grid for right now, and I've had grids in the past. These are my past grids like last year.
The Google Classroom there, and then they will learn self-learning there, and then we do the Zooming time. I communicate with them face to face through the Zoom. That's kind of interpersonal. Use what they have learned by themselves. Yeah.
Do all of your students have access to technology, or what are you doing as an alternative for students who do not have access to technology?
Now our school, they hand out all the Chromebook.
Oh.
Yeah. So also still some struggling. Some students and family, they cannot figure out how to do that. But my school is good. Like we have the technology students into the Zoom time. The technology teacher, every day we have per day we have one, like a PE, arts, technology, and Chinese. But per day, the technology teacher manage the Zoom room. So any technology stuff then go to him. He will help the students and family out.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
What are you doing, Addison, I know you've had access issues. Are you?
Right. Not all of our students have access to technology, nor can we require that our students use the technology to complete our work. So it's a little bit of a struggle. I use Google Classroom as my platform in my classes during the school year, but again, I have to carve out time during the class period so that students can use computers. I can't require that they complete assignments on Google Classroom unless I give them the technology to do that in class. But I'm still relying on Google Classroom right now to convey assignments to students, but we still have to provide hard copy work for students to complete for those who don't have access to technology.
Yeah.
But
So
for the past, yeah.
I was
So
going to say interpersonal is, I mean, you could do presentational and interpretive, no problem
Right.
on paper, but how do you do interpersonal?
So what I have done is use Google Voice, and
that's good.
again, that's something I've been using for 2 or 3 years. I've set up a Google Voice telephone number, and students are used to using that as an activity in class. I will often give them a question or provide them a situation, and I have them call my Google Voice number and leave me a message sharing whatever the information is that I'm asking them to do. You know, describe your best friend, or tell me what's in your bedroom, or whatever the content might be. It doesn't necessarily have that interpersonal element as much. They're not responding to each other. But if kids don't have a computer, most likely they're going to have a telephone line and have access where they can call me.
So if we think about like not having access to a computer, but maybe having, like, even those kids would still have cell phones, right?
Some of my students do, some don't.
Okay, because like I wonder if even like a Twitter chat, I've seen that before all of this came on, of like, I can't think of his name, Bill Denham in West Virginia. He does like a Twitter chat, like I don't know how often, with his students, sort of like Lang chat, but
Yeah.
they're responding in real time to each other and to his questions. So I wonder if even if they don't have a computer, maybe they could
Right, something like that.
and make it.
I actually tried last week with my French 3 and French 4 class to do a Flipgrid where they responded to each other's questions. But the problem becomes the first kid who I asked them to post a question and then respond to other students' questions. And if you're the first student on and you post your question and there's no one else you can respond to, they're not going to come back and they're not going to respond.
Right.
So it was a good idea in theory, but it didn't really work in practice.
Hey, Thomas, what did you all do when you did distance learning for interpersonal? Because you did KET for a while, didn't you?
Yeah, we had, this is before people had cell phones and internet apps. So we called them. We literally had small group conversations between kids. So like groups of 8, groups of 10, groups of 12. And we would talk to them for 15 minutes. We called it a 15-minute telephone lesson, which was a script. So you can do it with every kid, because we had 450 kids. So you would do it with every kid, or every group of kids, over and over and again. And so it would be regular, like you would do in your classroom, but they were scheduled telephone lessons.
Wow.
And it worked.
Yeah.
And yeah, it worked because we were able to build a relationship with the kids, even though we never seen them. And so, but yeah, it was very scripted, but it allowed us to get a lot of things in.
What technology can you use to call multiple students at one time?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, because I forgot. Of course, this was when they were in one school building, and so we would call them. Yeah, you're right. I hadn't thought about that. Well, I guess, but I think nowadays you can make a group call, right? At least on iPhones, I know you can call a bunch of people.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think
yeah, you can. Like, you could do group calls, or
yeah.
I mean, is that a possibility through Google Voice? Because
that's what I was wondering that too when you said that. It's like, I wonder if they can call a number. Let's find out.
Or group, I mean, if you could do group text too. I mean, that's not the same as speaking, but
yeah, I do that. I send them through Remind. I send group messages.
So I haven't read this article yet, but this is the first article that comes up when you do group call. I'm going to put it in the chat. Oops. I don't know where that will go. Oops. Will it go to everybody? I guess it'll go to everybody now, huh? I don't know. I've never done chat in a in.
Oh, there we go.
So I haven't read it.
Conference calls. Okay.
Love it. I'm gonna hop out, but you all keep talking.
So that might work. Yeah, that would definitely be a low-tech version. I hadn't even thought about that. Thanks for asking.
Right. Okay.
Now I have to dig up those old lessons again.
Yeah, you're like the resident expert now, Thomas.
Yeah. from 20 some years ago.
Before it was cool.
Our other issue is that we can't.
English teachers have, hey Jennifer, have the website, or not website, a Facebook page, and that's a good resource too. To keep
Yeah.
up on what they do.
Is that through KWLA?
Pardon me?
The Facebook group that you mentioned, is that with KWLA Spanish teachers?
No,
or
that's
is
the
it-
National Spanish Teachers in the U.S.
Okay, cool.
Oh yeah, it's got like thousands of members.
Sweet. I'm in the CI Liftoff group on Facebook, but I wasn't aware of the Spanish teachers in the U.S., so I'll check that one out.
Have you done some of the PDs with Collegiate?
Yes. Yeah. With
Yeah.
Diego and Tracy.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah. That's been great.
Jennifer, we've been talking about the issues, and they're different for elementary and secondary, of teaching online with only having so much per week
Yes.
time, and students not really getting online.
Yes.
And how do you control?
Yeah, I mean, that's the question, because I just had a special area meeting before this meetup, and I asked my fellow teachers, like, are y'all getting any work back? Because I get very little. That doesn't mean they're not doing it, but, you know, when you make a class optional, so. But I got some cute pictures of a kindergartner watching my video. It's mostly been kindergarten and first grade. The older they are, I find the less participation I'm getting. And I think it's because the parents are actually having to find the thing and hand it to the younger kids and being like, you need to do this now. So we kind of touched on that a little bit last week too, talking about like the younger they are, you have like the more you're actually talking to the parents as much as you are talking to the kids. Like I almost never use English in class, but I find myself using more because I'm having to give the directions to the parents, like, this is what I want them to do this week. Let me show you this activity. You know, because if the parents aren't gonna do it with the kid, then a 5-year-old can't do it on their own. 6-year-old.
I know this is double work, but anyway, you could do those instructions in both languages. So actually the parents could maybe learn at the same time, but they'd have the English to revert to.
Possibly. I'm trying to keep, I forget where I read somewhere that the shorter the videos, the better. So my longest video is 6 minutes because that's, 1 minute per how old they are. So yeah, that's a thought, but it would make the video a little bit longer is all. Which I guess would be fine.
That suggests at my age, I'm going to be watching very long videos.
Right? Yeah. Well, and I have found just the stress of everything. Like I have very little attention span myself. Like it's hard. I can't watch movies. Like it's got to be a 40-minute episode or nothing.
Yeah.
I feel like that. Even I get overwhelmed with so much time online. So for me to think, if kids are spending time playing, they need a break in some ways. So trying to scale back my expectations in a time of crisis, that if they don't do all my work, it's okay. Yeah. We're all overwhelmed and it's not going to last forever, and providing things they can do if they want to learn, and more, I'm trying to do more cultural based things that they can do with their parents and all be learning. And
this is, that's a stopgap method and kind of survival, but we have to think about that for the future, because if we get back to a more permanent situation like this, where does that leave us with advancing language? So we have to think about how we're going to be
permanent, as in
maybe
online permanent.
Yeah, as in teaching a lot. I mean, if it happens every spring and we have to go in, you know, that's, California's talking about not starting up until January. So, you know, what if we start like that and we've got a couple
I know,
of
right, Courtney? Actually, nobody you guys said so. Yeah,
I know. They're making so many decisions so early on that it feels unhelpful to be thinking that without even knowing it.
The way I'm trying to stay positive is thinking of like, okay, I'm really growing as a teacher. I'm finding out what is important, like what was fluff and what is like, I have to be laser focused on what I want them to actually learn. But also, especially at elementary, is like, this is such great advocacy. Like, we are in these kids' homes, these parents are seeing what we're doing and the impact we're having on those kiddos. And then also, like, there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing that I'm like, I could totally be doing this during the regular year. Like, why aren't I sharing mini lessons for them to watch at home? If I only see them twice a week, that's more minutes right there that we can be getting when we when we get back to a more regular schedule, you know, things like that. So it's all about reframing.
So what about the Flipgrid? How are you all using Flipgrid, or how do you see that you could use it?
I've just started learning it. Sorry, Courtney.
I'm gonna pop out of here. I'm gonna go visit some other rooms. Keep going.
Jen, how long are we?
I was just kind of seeing if the conversation was flowing. Probably maybe just a couple more minutes.
Okay.
I haven't been to every room. I keep getting involved in everyone's conversations. They're so good. Hey guys, how's it going?
It's good. How'd you sneak into here? What are you, the boss or something?
What?
So Jennifer, we have been talking about what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we just went around and did what we're doing in our classroom.
Okay, awesome. What are your guys' like challenges? Like, which mode is the hardest for you to get to?
I'd say for me, interpersonal
Yes.
is the most difficult. It's the most difficult in the classroom for me as well.
Agreed.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's hard even in the classroom to kind of get them to stay in the target language and interact with each other. So this only makes it more challenging. Has anyone had any success with anything?
I've used Duolingo for school.
Mm-hmm.
6th and 7th graders. That's how I started them off, just to get them used to that. And they seem to like that a whole lot. But with my 8th graders, I've used the BOSIS digital that came out.
Oh, okay.
Discovery magazine. And I haven't had any complaints over it. You know, just some kids who didn't read the Google Classroom notes that I sent out.
Of course.
Other than that, the kids are, I think they're finding it easy. And then again, I'm missing all the interpersonal things like that. I couldn't get my grid to work.
Mm-hmm.
So or I didn't hit a button or something. A lot of my kids in this boom, we cannot respond back to you. And I had another teacher to help me, and she couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong either. So I didn't get to use my Flipgrid.
Mm. Yeah, that's the problem, is when we're relying on technology and the technology doesn't work.
In terms of the interpersonal mode of communication, I haven't used Flipgrid. That's still new to me, but I've embedded videos within Google Forms and asked questions through that. And I think that's been useful. It's been helpful to me, and it's always difficult to figure out what's helpful to students, but at least it's potentially helpful to students, I believe.
Yeah. Has anyone used Edpuzzle at all? That's another one I like. Not so much interpersonal, but great for like interpretive and presentational.
I like Edpuzzle as well. I think that's a good one. It's sometimes difficult for me to edit the film the way I want it on Edpuzzle.
Yeah. I always, during the school day, would have to actually just have them do it. I would have it on the board and they would just write down their answers because we blocked YouTube. So a lot of the videos on Edpuzzle wouldn't work. I don't have that problem now because we're not on the school, you know, with the school firewall, but yeah, it's a good one. So I think we're gonna go back to the large room here in just a second. So I will see you soon.
Thank you.
Popping in.
Yep. Okay, so that was our first time using breakout rooms. My first time using breakout rooms. Not enough time.
We were just getting good.
In there for like 15 minutes or so.
Yeah, we were. Sorry, Pam.
Oh, yes. Go ahead and mute as you come back in, guys. Thank you, Pam. All right, and I guess we can go through the different modes of communication. If there was something that really is working for you, you can unmute or a great idea that you heard in your breakout session, unmute and share with the group, or if you'd rather put it in the chat, we can put it over there too. But I kind of hopped around from room to room, and the consensus was that interpersonal was sort of the biggest challenge. So if anyone wants to share some ideas that you heard or things that you're currently using to kind of help you address the interpersonal mode, go ahead and share out, please.
You know, I think the biggest challenge for interpersonal is that we're not because we could do like a Google Meet or like a Zoom and do breakout rooms and give them a topic for discussion, but you know, we're not able to have all students at the same time because a lot of them have like time constraints or have to share devices. So, you know, that is the hardest part, because it could be really easy like what we just did, but we are not able to see all the students at the same time. I've used some of the KWLA. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's like you create, I'll type it in the chat.
Yes, please.
You create like a sort of like a guided conversation. You can videotape yourself, you ask questions, and then students go in there and then they record themselves like responding to your questions. So it's almost like a simulated conversation in the AP sort of.
Oh,
you know?
okay.
It's pretty good. But if you haven't used it, it's kind of hard to start using it right now with the kids, since we're away from, like, we're trying to teach them, show them how to do things. So I've done this with my students in class, so it's easier for me. But at the same time, you know, if you would have to show them how to do it, it's kind of complicated if they are not right there. So, you know, I guess that's something that we can train them for and then do it eventually.
And just to say, the Flipgrid will allow you to also, I've done that with like a final exam, very much like the AP. So I've just given, you know, started a conversation and then stopped, let them answer that, but then I've had to do another topic. So they had to go from topic 1 to 2 to 3, and then that would go through their conversation to finish. So like, when it's your turn, you have to almost do like an AP, what they do. You do the, oh, and then you go with your next next part of the conversation, and then they have to pick up wherever you leave off. So you got to think about what you're going to do. And it works well with that as well.
I always hated those because I always answered too much, and then the next question it was like they weren't listening to me. I'm like, well, as I said before.
Well, the good thing is you can put a timer on your Flipgrid. So when they answer the question, if you want them to do just like an AP exam, you give them 2 minutes per answer. They have to stick to those 2 minutes, and then when it's up, and that's all they can say. Of course, with Flipgrid, they could re-record their answer.
Right.
But if you're, letting them do at least that practice right now, it would work for them to practice with.
Right. Awesome. Does anyone have anything else that they wanted to share or good ideas that they heard?
Jacque in our group mentioned having connecting with another school, even in another country, with Flipgrid.
I was getting to that one.
Yeah, I love that idea. Yeah. Maybe not this year. I don't think there's time to set that up, but in the future, I would love to try that.
A good resource for that is Laura Sexton at Eastern High School in Louisville. She does that with her students in Ecuador.
That's on my next slides.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, looks like Yabla is also offering a 90-day free trial. Yeah. Linguafolio is free until July 1st online. Please hop in, anybody. I know in one group, I forget which one, we were talking about sort of lower tech ideas for engaging in interpersonal, and it was Thomas's group, because we were talking with Thomas Sauer about what he used to do, doing distance learning, and he was saying, I don't know if he's still here or not, about getting on the phone, and they would have scheduled phone lessons with small groups, and it was sort of scripted, but you went through the different questions and they would have conversations. So if Zoom isn't a possibility, he did post a link to how to do a conference call using Google Voice.
Google Voice. Yeah, I have Google Voice. I love it.
Yeah.
Google Voice, a conference call, I think is what the document was he had.
Yes.
We at our school, we had to set up Google Voice so we could call parents from the computer. So I've had it for years.
Yeah, and maybe that's a way, if you've got people who aren't showing up to your Zoom meetings, you can call and check in. And if you're going to check in, why not do it in your target language, right? All right. Well, anyone want to talk about interpretive or presentational? We've just got about 10 more minutes. I want to make sure we hit all 3 modes of communication. I feel like these are probably a little bit easier to do in our current situation, but what are some things that you've been having success with?
I mentioned in our session that we can tend the fluent matters free materials. I just really loved being able to have do interactive activities with what they were reading.
You're kind of hard to hear. You might want to put that in the chat.
More important than like any of the interactive interpersonal stuff. Yeah, fluency matters.
So what I'm hearing is fluency matters. 28-day free trial. Awesome. Okay. Yes.
It was very easy to set for the secondary level. I just had to get like a list of the student emails, and then they took everything from there.
Okay.
Oh, can't hear me. Sorry.
No, it's sorry. It is really hard. It sounded like you said secondary level. You provided the student emails, and they took it from there. Okay.
Jen, can we say hello to Raja, who is here? I see her picture on here. And she is one of the teachers that came last year to KWLA, a long way away. Would you like to say hi to everybody? Raja?
Hi, Raja.
Hello.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi. I just joined in, so I'm trying to get into what you're talking about and everything. So hi.
How are things in where you're teaching? Are they all shut down as well?
Yeah, of course. Yes. We're doing also virtual learning. Mostly it's asynchronous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything's going fine.
Good. It's very nice to see you. Glad to have you join us.
Thank you for the invite. Thanks.
That's the second person we've had from outside of, not only outside of Kentucky, but outside of the US join us here recently. That's awesome. So we got lots of things in the chat. Looks like Edpuzzle, Fluent Key, quizzes. Yeah, I feel like interpretive mode is probably the easiest to hit online because we can provide some input, maybe have some questions for them to answer. Lots of good resources, tiny cards, Garbanzo.
And just to add, any of those apps, any of those platforms can be used with Flipgrid. You can just give them that link. If you have something outside of Flipgrid like Edpuzzle to watch that video, you can do that and then they can respond. So you can get that, presentational or kind of asynchronous interpersonal. I like that. Somebody else mentioned that phrase too, with the kids so that they can, and you can read them, it doesn't have to be, you can read them a story. You read a story, a little book to them, and then ask them a question at the end, or ask them some questions and then have them answer it. You can type up the questions. You can have it on there on the screen. Once you get into Flipgrid and you start looking around, it's pretty easy to use, and it is a good tool.
And Elena's not here, but she was going to talk about practice journals that she's having her students do, which I love. Just one, because it's a low tech option. She's using it because it's hard for her Japanese students to, if they don't have the right keyboard, to actually do the Japanese input. But you can have something that they're responding to that's interpretive, have them write their response that's presentational, and then when you do get together on a Zoom or a Google Voice call, then maybe ask questions and have that conversation. So you're taking that low tech, high tech kind of all together.
I just want to share something that I discovered yesterday, and it was a life changer for me. I spend so much time giving students feedback and writing when they turn in those Google Docs or their slides and stuff, and I want to give them feedback. And I found a Google extension. It's called Talk and Comment, I think. Let me check. Talk and Comment. So you can actually record voice comments right on the assignment, so you don't have to type and they can hear you talk. So you can give them the feedback in the target language and they can hear you, especially for the little children that cannot read or blah, blah, blah. So you can, like, you know, you're on a slide or like any work that's on Google, like a Google slide or a Google form, or well, not a Google form, but a Google slide or a Google Doc. You can click and just record their comment right on the page, and students get the comment. Just, you know, so just, I'm just thinking about if we're having them do all this work, I struggle a lot with like not giving them timely or like good feedback, because they're doing the work. You know, if I do all that I'm giving my kids, I would like somebody to tell me how I'm doing. Now I get 80 new, well, I don't get 80 because not everybody does it, but I should get 80 new assignments every single day. So there's really no way that I can give like feedback, it's like really extensive feedback to everybody. But I do want to acknowledge that they're doing it. I do want to give them something that is personal to what they're doing. So I found that is really helpful. It's it's a Google extension. You can just add it to
Carolina, can you put that in the chat?
Yes, I will put it in the chat. And actually there's a video, I'll see if I can find it. There's like a tutorial on how to do it that I found yesterday. That was really helpful.
Yes, thank you. I mean, that's something you could use during the regular school year even.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a game changer for me. I'm like, how did I not know about this before? You know.
There's so many things in Google Tricks that I think it's impossible to know all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else want to share? We have just a few more minutes, about 4 more minutes. I'm loving all of the stuff in the chat. Thank you so much for adding all of that.
And I'm going to suggest that we maybe think about, maybe this has already been decided and I don't know it, about someone curating these resources and putting them on the KWLA website. But it would take, maybe we can twist Alfonso's arm to curate them.
You can just, you know, you can just download the chat by clicking on those 3 dots there.
Yeah.
Well, yes, please keep checking the KWLA Facebook page. I'm going to be honest, I'm not the one usually compiling these things. I'm just sharing posts where other people have compiled these things. Alfonso has done a really good job of making lists. Beth Gauntz shared a list with us last week that I posted to KWA. But just keep your eye out on that Facebook page, and as I get things, I try to share them out where I can. Mm-hmm. And then this has been recorded, so my plan is to edit out the first 10 minutes where I was we were talking about my mug. Is it a llama or an alpaca? But sharing that somewhere so that you can come back and reference, or if you didn't happen to get a chance. You know, if you don't want, we're going to discuss the same topic Thursday at 3. So if you wanted to, if you couldn't join us at 3, maybe you could watch that one to see if we got new things that were added.
I just want to add with Flipgrid, and I don't work for Flipgrid or anything like that, but I do love to use it in my class. The Flipgrid, Jackie mentioned the Grid Pals. It's hashtag Grid Pals. It's part of the Flipgrid page, and what you can do is, as the educator, when you log in, you sign up for that, and you can be an active member, and it allows you to connect. You just look at a list. There's a list of other educators all around the world, and you just send them a message saying, hey, I would love to connect with your class. And they don't actually, through Flipgrid, they don't have your email. They just kind of have the connection until you accept it. And then you can have your kids connect, if it's a Spanish class, with, students from, Argentina or, Mexico or Spain, of course. But it's a great way of allowing the kids to have a little bit more cultural understanding, create that global empathy that they, and it just gives them a different view of things, as well as allow them to practice in the target language. So So that is one great thing about Flipgrid. That's what you were mentioning, Jackie.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, it is 12 o'clock, so that is the end of our meetup for today. Jackie, did you have anything you wanted to say before we ended?
No, just keep hanging in there. Enjoy sunshine while we have it briefly, and we'll be back with you on future Zoom meetings. So
Yes.
Thanks for joining, everybody. And don't forget to join KWLA if you're not already a member. Well, it's free now.
Absolutely.
Catherine, can
Yes.
you stay on so I can ask you a question about Flipgrid real quick?
Sure.
Okay.
All right. Thanks. Bye, guys.